All right, perfect. Let's do this. So, zoom in a bit. Fix that. I'm actually in a trade right now. You know, I gotta wait for a couple people to hop in. I know I'm 5 minutes late. It is what it is, but looks like another good week. I'm in on a couple of accounts. What's up, Louie? I saw you here earlier when I just started stream. Hope to see you in here. GU, let's check it. I'm tweaking. Let's get it. Let me check. GU's looking bullish to me. I mean, at least in the 4 hour coming out this area. 7LT. I'll tell you about the sell right now. Hourly price is starting to break these highs here. I'd want to see a break of like this high, but in the meantime, you can try to like capitalize on like lower time frame structure, maybe continue to buy up from here. But I'm saying bullish. Why sells? Let's go into it. So if you guys remember last week, caught this on stream, sold off into the equilibrium of this 4 hour leg. Price sold off a little bit more, coming into a discount a little bit further. Okay. And then from there, I looked to capitalize up, and that's where I did take a loss on Friday, got wicked out down here. And the goal was to start to continue the overall 4 hour bullish trend from here. Okay. So target these highs, right? Got wicked out, as you can see, price came up, changed character or broke structure, however you want to look at it. And now, since price broke out of this area of, or this high, I am looking for a pullback into these areas down here that to then continue price. So it's a lot of back and forth action, but I love it. It's like my bread and butter. So like this setup is just like this setup from last week, where price is clearly bullish here, but price has to pull back at some point because, as you can see, price had broke this high previously, so we can expect at some point, once price shows a change of character, that we can hop in and target those areas where we know price should pull back into, which is usually the equilibrium. So that's the same bias here, is targeting equilibrium. You also have some factors like imbalance, demands down here. Go to the 30. I do think price will end up pulling back all the way down here, but to play it safe, I'd probably be at break even or just be content with profits at equilibrium. So it's the safest route. That is why a little bit of a rant, but again, I love it. Been doing great with it. So, but GU looking bullish, but not really looking for much on there right now. Plus, I don't really trade it, so it is very similar to EU, or yeah, I'd say they're pretty similar. They move quite the same, but I'm actually looking for a pullback now. Just, yeah, kind of like GU, I'm waiting for a break of a high to look for some type of pullback, like into a demand. You know, may not be this demand, but and then I would target the equilibrium, right? Because I know price should pull back into these areas, possibly further into the supply before selling off, and then or facilitating an even bigger pullback, which would be a 4 hour pullback. So once you kind of get entry up here, you could look for possible sells or of a swing trade into this area down here. So if you have a different bias, let me know. I mean, I might lose here, who knows, but it'll be fine. I was gonna type something in my Discord, because if you're not in from my Discord, you're from Luca's. But I could win. I mean, sorry, I could lose this whole week and still end the month profitable, because this is more of a higher RR system. So once you kind of get a couple good trades, you're safe for the month. So it's cool. It's cool. But this reaction is really nice. I like it. That's not to say that price could just absolutely shit on me, but um, stops are at the highs, so we'll see. But there's a lot of news later, so I'd like to see price really show me a good reaction. Oops. At 230. So at 230, I really gotta make sure I'm either at break even or not. Right now, my P&L, I'm like 6%. Up 6% for the month. So it's not like nothing crazy. But we still have a week left, so we can see what happens. But I've definitely, again, like my system, there'll be months where I lose more than I win, but my wins are so significant. And I'm really strict when it comes to like my losses. I mean, it's good on risk management. I mean, I'll be fine. Like, what I mean is, I usually come up profitable. But we'll see what happens this week. But again, we still got a lot like EU, still expecting break of this high, a pullback into here. Definitely will capitalize on at least 1 or 2 trades on EU if it gives me a good setup. But if it doesn't, then oh well. GA, probably not going to take any trades this week, just by the way it looks, unless we get this break of this high, like a full break, meaning like a full body closure, then I'll look for some type of pullback. So we can capitalize on that. Sorry, I don't want to hear me swallow. But here USD, we'll see what happens. I would play like this shorter term pullback here, but price had already come into the equilibrium, so I would need to have caught something early on down here, but structure was just not looking good. So, but I will drop a weekly outlook later. If you're in Luca's Discord, I send a video out to you guys, but in my Discord, I send what's it called? Like a little bit more, like an actual breakdown. I may or may not close GG. I mean, shit, I may lose, but if price is moving my direction, I'll probably move to break even depending on what it's looking like. I don't want to say it's not like crazy news, but I don't know. We'll see. I kind of play it by ear. If I'm like at a good RR, I might just take out, say fuck it. But we'll see. Again, we might just get clapped on stream, but I can't wait for Euro to play out. So waiting for a pullback. I kind of do what Luca does, but on a higher time frame, I'd say. I know he does like a lot of like trend line, liquidity stuff. I use liquidity concepts a lot too, but I know some of his trades he'll use the equilibrium. I don't know if he shows it too much, but just on like 5 minute, 1 minute like time frames. Because again, it's just kind of identifying where to buy and sell from. So, or where to target at least, because I know that price should come up into these areas if price is going to then come and sell back off, right? I can go into a deeper explanation, but I hope you guys kind of have an understanding of what that is used for. GJ's not looking too good. I can go for NAS, but I don't want to like my concepts I don't see working as often or as well on like indices. Even like gold. Gold just moves differently. NASDAQ moves differently. I'm just not seeing a lot of it. Sometimes you'll see it kind of respect those areas, but like I tried trading it, but I trade it differently than my actual forex concepts. Like I would trade inverse fair value gaps and all this bullshit, but it was a lot trading both, so I kind of just cut the noise out, and stuck to my bread and butter. So trying to go crazy with this year. Been seeing a lot of setups starting to show up. Just GA, GJ, and EU. That's it. That's all I trade. Those three. I could just trade one, but then like there's some times where like GA this week may not be the best. So if I just traded GA, that'd be bad. I also like notice things like GA is not as good at the beginning of the year, or at least from last year's data that I got, and it was a killer for me at the end of the year. I mean, I did absolutely great with GA, but GJ, the start of the year, has been like my bread and butter pair. Just always seeing setups on it. So now seeing that we're going into March, more setups. Like January was pretty slow, but now we're starting to see some setups take place just on these three pairs. That's it. I just actually recently added EU to this year maybe, because I started back testing a little bit. So I really just traded GJ and GA basically all of last year. Pretty good with it, especially GA. GJ's scaring me right now. I don't like this. I would have preferred a little bit more of a significant break of structure, but price did break this high, meaning this should have been a protected low, at least in my eyes. So once price broke out, especially with this much volume, I can only expect price to possibly sell off, but again, doesn't have to. So price could just end up coming up, filling in these areas up here, and just absolutely taking price to the next level, which then if price does break out, I'll only just be looking for a pullback into discount levels. So be waiting on that. What pairs do you guys trade, Carla? I know a lot of people trade NASDAQ. It's like, no, everyone's like I started with NASDAQ. I didn't know what the fuck I was trading on NASDAQ, but I was trading something. It was, I don't know. That was like years ago. But now it's just FOREX. I like it. It's a bit slower. And it's also like about your personality too. Like NASDAQ is more of like a morning type of deal. This is more like I can enter this trade and like walk away. This is more of a shorter term trade, but there's times where like, like let's say price does end up selling off and I expect price to come into this 30-minute, possibly this area here, but I expect price to come into here. This is where I would just set a limit and then walk away because I know price is going to take a while to play out. It's on the 30-minute, it could take a day, could take 2 days, 3, but that's just what I like. So, and it works. So why not use it? Again, like it took me a lot of time on supply and demand to really come down, to really start seeing good results. But like, I think my biggest thing was not understanding premium discount levels and understanding all that. Like trade indices, yeah, again, it just depends on you, like your personality. I used to like waking up in the morning. Now I can just sleep in, unless like I have a mentorship meeting in the morning or I am streaming, which I don't really stream in the morning anymore. So it's nice, like after this, it's pretty late for me, but I think I'll go hit the gym. Why not? And just manage my trade from there. So we'll see what happens, because again, big news day, so that's a little bit scary. That's why even when it comes into taking these GJ trades, like this buy down here, depending on the time, I'd wait a bit. But this is not looking too promising, so might start the week down just a little bit. Give me 1 second. I get paranoid sometimes and like have to make sure I have stop loss set. I don't know, not necessarily. Like I know CPI sometimes and like GDP releases can affect other pairs. It shouldn't affect it too much. I mean, obviously GJ is going to affect it, and USD might affect it a little bit more than Euro. That's just from what I've noticed, but like again, like different news releases depending on the data that is released, and depending on the actual release itself. Like if it's CPI, GDP, those are big releases. Unemployment claims, yes, those can be big, but nothing compared to CPI and GDP, at least from my view from things. Like I don't go deep into fundamentals, but that's just something I've noticed over 4 or 5 years of looking at the markets and looking at news and all that. So that can definitely, or yeah, so I think there may be a small effect, but nothing that I'm going to worry about. Nothing that's going to make me move to break even any earlier, but GBP is where I get scared. Oh my God. From the moment I was introduced, it took me like a good 2.5 years, I'd say. Because I kind of start how everyone starts, where it's like you don't really know what you're trading. You're just trading. Thankfully, I didn't fall into any traps like I think it's called like IML and all that bullshit, where it was just like a pyramid scheme. I was just like trading live funds. Like I got introduced to live like trading early in the early in my career or in my journey. Got that exposure to that. Then actually started to look into like YouTube mentorships and this is and that. Found a guy who's trained supply and demand. Then I kind of took that, added my own things, picked and choose from other people until like I really found something that worked. But even from then, like it's about building a system, having a plan. And it really comes down to like how much you trade because you need data to back up your plan. You don't know if you actually have a good system until your data shows that you have a good system, right? And that just comes with months and years of trading. So I say 2.5 years into where I was like consistently doing the same thing. And then from there, maybe a couple of months before I really had like a first withdrawal and all that. But again, like it takes everyone differently. You're a victim IML, yeah. Yeah, IML, I'm so thankful I didn't fall into that trap. I don't know how I didn't. I just again just threw money live. I think I was like 17. I was in high school, but I had a job, so I just funneled money into that thing. Um, oh, that's fucked. But that's how you start. So, but we might have a loss here. Maybe a good data point. We'll see. Sometimes I've been noticing price just wicks as high and then comes down. I didn't even check if it was like a session. Really. So could just be a loss here to start the week, which would be a shitty way to start the stream. But I don't think any of you guys entered unless you're in my Discord. So all good, all good. I was trying to add in UJ, but UJ just gave me too much noise. UJ's reacting nicely as well for this area. Like sometimes I use like JPY basket and all that too. Mouth is so fucking dry to find like a confluence, but I kind of took off. I like that I like the confluences JPY basket gives sometimes, but then other times it's a lot of noise, and it makes me have like mixed biases, and I don't like that. I really don't. JPY to me at least looking like it should be looking at a pullback as well. Definitely is having that confluence, but price just may not be ready. It may sell off, but again, like this is an inverse pair, meaning we'd want to see JPY basket go up for GJ to sell off. Right. It's looking like it should, but doesn't have to, right? In this case, this would have been a bread break. It's kind of catching an earlier pullback for sure. But when it comes to looking at GJ, we are catching a pullback of a smaller time frame versus here. I guess it's of a smaller time frame as well, but we'll see what happens. May just be too early. I have missed something. Anyone else fall victim to IMO? Did anyone else fall victim? There's no OGs in here today. No chatters. But if you do watch these, right, I am going to go start going live on my account as well. Maybe 2-3 days on Luca's, 2-3 days on mine. and just start grinding out these streams, right? Been absolutely going crazy. So want to share the sauce with you guys. Obviously can't share everything, but it is everything. I can't lie to you. My system's so simple that I just end up, if you can understand me, you're gonna understand what I do. So, but if you want to check out my channel, I'll link it in the Discord. You'll see it in Lucas. Confirmation. One, I need to have a good directional bias on the higher time frame, meaning a 4 hour, especially daily, weekly. I go through all of them. It just needs to be telling me, what am I doing? Am I looking to capitalize on a pullback of a higher time frame or of a lower time frame? Am I looking to capitalize on the continuation of a swing, move or whatever it is? So first, higher time frame directional bias. But when it comes to lower time frame, so say in this case, I found my higher time frame bias. Okay, 4 hour is bullish, right? So I can expect price, now that it's starting to break out, it's going to continue to have breaks and pullbacks, breaks and pullbacks. So I'm expecting a pullback into this area. Why? Because price broke this high here. So price broke that high. So once I start seeing lower time frame structure shifts, meaning now price is looking bearish, I'm looking to capitalize on this leg here, right? Because this was the leg that led to that break structure, right? In theory, price should come to the 50%, meaning that price is coming back down into a discount level, meaning price is less. So institutions should, in theory, buy back up. Why? Because price is now at a cheaper, price point. So we can use areas like supply and demand to find where institutions, banks, whatever you want to call them, could be holding their positions, meaning they're not going to let price pass this point, because then they lose money, right? But then you can fall into fake outs and traps still, but it's just trading into supply or premium and discount levels, right? Because from here, once I get into this 30-minute time frame, I'd enter, which isn't necessarily trading to a premium discount level, but I'm trading out of a discount level technically into premium price, probably on a higher time frame, right? Where I can then target these areas and wait for a break, which would be a crazy big trade, right? But again, we'll see. I do expect price to come back at some point, but I could just be too early. In this case here, price could come up and then come back down. And just, it is what it is. So again, with my system, there's some months where I lose more than I win, and I still end the month profitable, because this is a 1 of 3. So 1 of 3.5. If I capitalize on the full move, and what I mean by that is I expect price to genuinely come down to this area, I can then capitalize on a 1 to 5, which would be insane. I could lose 5 times after this and still be break even. That's just an example, but you get what I'm saying. Phone keeps turning off. It's pissing me off. But price moving a bit slow. London's gonna open right now. We could just get absolutely pumped and just fucking price dumps, right? Could happen. I've seen it happen before. But London usually isn't as strong as New York open. This line's bothering me. But yeah, supply and demand has been, to me, by far the best thing I trade. It makes the most sense to me, and I know it doesn't have to make sense to make money, especially in trading, but I just like that it makes sense, and I like that I see it work. And then you just have to make it work based off your personality and how you like to trade. And depending on the type of trade. And what I mean by that is, yeah, you did make sense. You're asking about my trade management throughout the trade. In this case here, no matter what happens, not no matter what happens, but if price is moving down here, because again, my main target is this equilibrium. If price starts pushing down and within this area hasn't hit the equilibrium yet, I just leave my stop loss open. Price can shoot back up, I lose, oh well, it is what it is. But if price were to hit equilibrium, then I manage my trade, move to break even, if I were to target these lower areas. But sometimes I just take out a break even because it's a safe point. You know that price came into an area because as soon as it gets into discount, it now has the possibility of buying back up, especially when you have demand sitting right here as well. This is a very scary situation where I probably will exit fully at equilibrium, right, and just take the 1 to 3. But on other trade scenarios, like let's say over here, we broke structure here. If I were to, or let's go to a higher time frame. So we broke structure here, right on this 4-hour. If I were to be looking for buys after we broke a significant high, I would then move to break even once I get to a 1-to-1, right? Because there's more of a chance that since price already broke out, it could just fake me out and make a reverse and do a pullback. That makes sense, right? So in certain situations, I do move to break even, but it really depends. Like news may just be a break even thing unless we get to equilibrium beforehand, which I do have a good feeling that once, or London did open. But if we get a good push here, I expect price to hopefully hit this equilibrium. I'll be out for a good full 1 to 3, right? Depending on like counts wise, I'll risk 1% typically, but like if I'm like flipping an account or like just fucking around with like less money, I'll risk like a shit ton. Not a shit ton, but a good amount. But I'd say 1% is like my go-to. Just because it's a lot easier to track, right? It's a lot easier to track 1%. Like I know this is the one, like it's just a lot easier to track, okay? But like when you go to live, you want to play safe, like 2 to 4%, I'd say I do. It just really depends on your account. But if it's like funded accounts, do 1%. Just do 1%. But actually with this system, sometimes I find myself having to shift to 0.5% because again, like my win rate, there's sometimes where I lose more than I win, meaning that my winners are big. And sometimes when it comes to like funded challenges, there's consistency rules and all this bullshit that just doesn't work with my system, right? So sometimes I'll do 0.5. Just depends. Like mess around with things, start at 1%, adjust from there depending for live or whatever. But it's easiest to track, I think. But GJ's looking a bit wonky right now. Yeah, like what time frame I enter on, I'm usually just sticking to that time frame throughout the whole trade. Like I won't move from the 15 until I lose or win, right? When it comes to like let's say price realistically, or let's say price sells off, right? We're coming into here, news isn't coming out yet. I'd go to a higher time frame, maybe see if it's worth holding, see if there's any like higher time frame things I can see. I wouldn't say it's worth holding any lower, especially going into news because there's no like imbalance on the higher time frames. Like we can see imbalance on the 30-minute, yes, but it'd been nice to see it on the hourly as well. We just don't see it. So, other than like looking at confluences like that, later on in the trade, which I've already looked at them now, so I won't look at them later. I'll just stay at the 15-minute win or lose. So, but again, like at least in my system, I think with everyone's system, if you lose, you're too early, right? If I lost here, I'm too early. It could be a couple minutes too early. Price could come up and then come back down. It could be an hour too early. It could be a month too early. You know, price is eventually going to come down and fill in these areas, but you're just too early. But JPY is not looking the best. Unless we're just coming down into this area, which is scary because sometimes price does that and then it just takes me out on GJ and then we'll just shoot up. But we'll see. That's why I have bigger stop losses too. Price will wick these highs a lot. That's something that I notice again through data. Like I'm big on data. If you ask anyone from my mentorship or mine and Luca's mentorship, they know that data is key, right? From data, I noticed that price has been wicking out, or at least or midway through last year, price will come above these highs where you think they're protected, wick them, and then come back down. But we'll see. Kind of like in this case on GJ. I entered this trade Friday. Price came down below a little bit, wicked it, shot back up. And I did have a bigger stop loss here, but I guess it wasn't big enough and it barely took me out. It took me out on 2 of my 3 accounts. So one I stayed in, and then I just took out once price came back up to break even. But you know, we'll see what happens. Price may fly up. We're now not respecting this, but came into this area, so we'll see what happens. Could mean nothing. Could mean absolutely nothing. One thing I hate is like, let's see what happened. Fucking happened. Hate when that shit happens. One second. Might be a loss here, guys. Not a good way to start the third round 15. Yeah, typically, Carla. Like sometimes I'll go on a lower time frame, but I don't find myself doing that a lot. Like sometimes I'll break down to the 5, but I don't see a point because it's not like I'm looking for like any type of candle formations, or I'm just really just playing price. Like here, the goal was to target a pullback. Price clearly doesn't seem to be ready for a pullback. We might come up, but eventually we are going to, or again, we may come up and just fly up here, break that high, but then we'll have a pullback on the higher time frames, or technically the lower time frames, but it'll just be a continuation of this 4-hour, which again we'll expect to pull back, just kind of like in this scenario right here. Price broke out. What did price do? Price had a pullback into at least equilibrium, and then now it's going back up, and we can expect price to keep doing that until price shifts structure, and then we can now target a pullback the opposite direction and then follow price down. If that makes sense. So higher time frames, just following structure, targeting continuations and pullbacks. That's it. That is it. I don't know. I think it's like, because again, like I keep saying this because like it's very important that you guys know that you can lose more than you win, and there's some months where I lose more than I win. So I think I just kind of not necessarily got used to it, but once I started trading this, and like it kind of gave me patience because this is more intraday, more swing. I'm not really like just trading I'm not trading the 5 minute, the 1 minute. This is more of a higher time frame, except for situations like this where I can sit here and manage a trade, but I'm still in it for over an hour usually. But that patience kind of just gave me the patience for in all, and change my mindset, because I think patience is the biggest thing. Missing perfect setups. I mean, it's tough. I think like last month I like for some reason I was just thrown off that week, and that week I ended up missing out on like 7%, missed out like 2 perfect trades. And it's a punch in the stomach, and it can really like mess up your win rate at the end of the month, but you still have to make best of it. You still have to hop back on it. Because again, it's gonna happen. You may be busy, whatever, but then like that's where limits come in, and that's why I love limits, is because I can just check my phone real quick, see that a trade is showing exactly what I need, set a limit, walk away. Whatever happens, happens. Because again, like that's just what I'm gonna do throughout the rest of the week. Once I get a break of this high, I'll see it, pull back into like this area, maybe on a lower time frame, right, and just capitalize. Set a limit and just wait for price to continue pulling back, whatever it may be. But it is a big challenge, I think, for me. Like as far as like money wise, like I said, like in the beginning, I got like exposure to the live markets, even though I just was like didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I still like was in a trade shaking, like scared. I mean, I was 17. I, you know, It's like all the money I had at the time. And then, I think that kind of helped me now. I don't know. You don't want to like, you want to have enough confidence in your setup to where it's like you can walk away from it. And then it's like, if I win, I win. If I lose, whatever. Right. Just how you gotta do it. I mean, I think it's maybe like an experience thing. Crazy how more people joined in right when I'm about to get chopped. But it's like a big experience thing when it comes to like being fine with all that. But I guess you're right. Like, I guess girls can be a little bit more emotional. This is GJ Edwin. I guess you can be like a little bit more emotional, but I don't know. I think be patient because every loss is a lesson. I mean, depends. Like I may have missed something, but again, like in this case, price just may have not been ready to sell off. Right? You still have areas up here like this imbalance, right? This area of supply. So, but then I track everything too. You got to make sure you're tracking everything. Check every trade I take. And I can go back to at the end of the month, at the end of the year, and then I have good data points. But in this case, it'll be a loss. I think I'm up 5% for this month. So not bad, but not good. We'll see what happens though. I want to see if price comes into here and then sells off. This is my Discord. But like this is a good time where it's like I can note to use an exact spreadsheet if you want to overtrade. Now I have like a Notion, like I like got this Notion thing and I kind of edit it, or I kind of like just customized it and then now I use it. Here. It's like this. This is the one that like I have on my Instagram page that like I link for people to get themselves. It's like spread out by month, and then you can just come down here, add everything, add your trade. Did you open it? When did you close it? What pair? Direction, accounts. So when it says accounts, like what month is it in? Session, and then like if you wanted to do like a 1,000, it automatically puts you in profit. It'll calculate like commissions if you want to do that. It just depends. So, and then you can put photos and all that. So. I mean, that's the details. It's just like everything, the time I took it, the direction. That's like simple stuff like my risk, how much percentage, how much did I make, what type of setup, because I have like certain phases. Is it like counter swing, pro internal? Like in this case, this actually would have been, oh, this would have been pro internal counter swing. Yeah. Supply and demand primes. Say supply and demand. It depends on your like I'm always gonna recommend mine, but like you do have a different type of personality, like meaning like you do have to be fine waiting or taking 2 trades a week. Like this could be one of my only trades this week. That's but then there's good weeks like last week, and I notice third week of the month tends to do pretty good. So I'll what's it called? Did my camera freeze? That'd be fucked if it did. Oh my god, it did and nobody told me. Boom, we're back, but pressed because I don't know how long it was sitting like that for. Yeah, you can customize it, Carla. Like to an extent. You can customize it to an extent. Because there's like some coding and stuff that like you can fuck up. I mean, like as far as like adding those types of sections, like in Notion, you can have other types of like sections, like I have a journal that I write in, or like a quick type on what are my goals going into the week or going into the day. So every day. You can learn from any YouTube video. Look up Photon Trading Prime. I learned a lot of concepts from him. Yeah. Make sure my camera's working. All right. Having a clear mind is the best thing, I'd say. But GJ disappointed me today. We'll see what happens. I gotta go put it in my journal. Short little stream today, I can't lie. Short stream. But I will be back at it tomorrow. Again, check my YouTube channel. Okay, let me go type. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. So I just typed on my account, NiicksFX. You can go. I'll be streaming either Luca's or there. You'll see the announcement, right? But I appreciate you guys joining in. Sad we took a loss. Last week we took a pretty big win, so if you're able to catch that, congrats. Well, I caught it too, but should be still looking good for the month. So I'll see you guys. What are you going to put in the journal for the loss? Let's go over Carla's question, then head out. But I'm probably just going to put price. I want to let it play out a bit. Sometimes I like letting it play out because I want to see what price ends up doing. Kind of tells me a little bit more where I went wrong or if I was too early. So like price could just come back now. I was cleared too early. No matter what, I'm too early. But if I see price come into this supply here, I know that, again, price just wasn't ready to sell off, right? Price still wanted to push up a bit, probably filling this imbalance. That could happen. My battery died for some reason, but that's really what I'm going to put in it. I appreciate you guys joining. I'm sorry my camera keeps fucking around. I will see you guys